It's the time of year we remember those who gave their lives for our freedom. But what about those lucky enough to return from conflict? For them, a very different battle has often just begun. Tonight, Inside Out uncovers what happens when Civvy Street literally becomes your only place to live. And I meet one veteran who wants all soldiers to have a fighting chance. Another tour of duty over. And for many troops, it's home to family and loved ones. But not all those who leave will cope with life on Civvy Street, and sometimes those you'd least expect end up living rough on it. This derelict hospital in Mansfield gave Derek Green a roof over his head.
It was one of the worst places to stay in, because inside it's all rotten and falling to bits. But the further you get in, the better it is, but it's full of rats.
It's estimated that 1 in 6 of Britain's homeless are ex-armed forces. 1 in 10 make up the country's prison population. Derek became part of both those statistics.
The blast tore open the roof of the vehicle and blew off the driver's door. 4 police officers were injured in the explosion, one of them very seriously.
Yet, as a serving soldier, he was first on the scene at a bomb blast in Northern Ireland.
I basically put field dressings on the wounds and gave them mouth to mouth and kept them as best as I could there until somebody else took over.
During the attack, police officers returned fire. Ambulances reached the injured within minutes.
I was awarded accommodation for bravery at the time, which I was proud of. I mean, it was the first time the regiment had done anything like that.
Derek spent 12 years on the streets and became addicted to heroin. Last January he collapsed and needed major heart surgery. If you hadn't collapsed where you were on the streets and ended up in hospital for 5 or 6 months, what do you think would have happened to you?
Oh, I'd definitely have been at death's door. If nobody had found me, I'd have been dead.
When I found him, he was living in a hostel. It wasn't exactly how you expected life to turn out, was it, as someone who'd served in the army?
Yeah.
And end up homeless, is it?
No. No, I thought I'd come out and enjoy life and get on with it and carry on and that, but it didn't turn out that way in the end, I'm afraid.
Mansfield marks the first Armed Forces Day by signing up to a charter which will give priority help to returning soldiers, led by one veteran who believes they desperately need more.
Somebody who serves this country, and that's an important word, serve, deserves a life when they leave.
Jason Rathbone knows that more than most. A few photographs are all that remain of Jason's service in the army. He left 12 years ago. He's been fighting battles ever since. The Mansfield Jason came home to now has the worst rate of unemployment in the East Midlands, higher than the national average, a town with a reputation for recruitment.
I joined the army as a young lad. I was either go down a pit or do something else, and I joined the army really. I did it for pride in myself, and it turned me from a boy to a man. Now to come back and not really be offered the life that I thought I was going to have, you know, I don't know, it leaves you in limbo.
His time on the front line in the desert left him with post-traumatic stress disorder and an overwhelming desire to help other veterans like Neil.
Neil's situation, I suppose, is typical, really. You know, sleeping on people's sofas, going from house to house to house, never finding anywhere to settle, not knowing his place in the community, within himself even, not knowing himself, forgotten who he is, essentially.
Anybody serving or coming back, they need to be acknowledged, given somewhere to live, help back into society. I mean, being a soldier, you go out there, they switch you on to be a killer, and that's what you do. that's what you're trained to do. You're trained, but when you come back, that doesn't get switched off.
Like Jason, Neil also served in the First Gulf War and suffers from PTSD. This is his first home since leaving the army.
To feel disregarded and abandoned by society, it's an awful thing, yet you'll still soldier on, even though you don't realise you're doing it. It's what you were trained to do, you know, the first thing you revert to is what you know to survive.
It's soul destroying, really, when you see some of the proud lads not knowing what to do, not knowing how to pay a bill, not being able to fill in a form, not being able to deal with the day-to-day mundane bureaucracy that everybody else deals with on a day-to-day basis.
At the Royal British Legion's headquarters in Derby, they do what they can to pick up the pieces. Year on year, their caseload has increased, helping with housing and practical support. They now have 3 times the work they had 3 years ago.
When these people come back and they are injured, they've got mental welfare problems, then there should be something in place to look after them. It shouldn't be a charity's job to do that. We don't mind being in there to cement the little gaps that are there, but to do major work like we're doing in the Royal British Legion to cover these gaps is really past a joke.
There's a 6-week waiting list of people desperate for help.
It's disgusting that the only thing that exists is charity. And who wants to go cap in hand and ask for charity? I don't know anybody who wants to do that. And they wonder why people are falling through the net and lads are ending up on the street. I want to meet with the Veterans Minister. I want to find out why they're doing nothing and how they perceive they're going to move forward with this.
Jason has come to the Ministry of Defence in London. He wants soldiers to get the help they need as soon as they come home, and not just in Mansfield.
I can't stress enough that if you walk away here without any support of any kind, then I'll feel like I've failed. And not just failed myself, but failed the lads as well.
Hi, Jess.
G'day, sir.
Nice to see you.
Very pleased to meet you. I'd be more than happy if we could get the support for this, from yourselves, to pilot this within the Nottinghamshire area.
Well, we're going to be doing the welfare pathway. What I'm looking for is pilots, and I think, like I say, you're ahead of the game. And I think it's important that if you've got the agencies on board, which you have in terms of the little council and others coming together, we could actually perhaps use Mansfield as one of those pilot projects to take it forward.
Some positive noises have come out of the Minister's mouth. I think fundamentally now the proof's in the pudding, and we'll see if if the Veterans Agency and the Minister especially will put money where their mouth is and deliver on what they've said. To say that Mansfield's ahead of the curve and ahead of the game in this, it is a truth. We are.
I've got to get used to not knocking at the door before I come in, using my own set of keys, and realising I've got a back door as well as a front door, and I can use both of them.
Derek Green is the first success story of the Mansfield Veterans Charter. Within weeks after we found him in a hostel, he moved into his permanent home.
If we can do it here, why can you not do it elsewhere? And if I have to, I'll beg other councils to do it.
It shows you that in the long run, it should get easier. It should be lots more people should be going through the same situation but I have and benefit from it in the end.
It can't be left to stay the same. I didn't deserve this, the lads don't deserve this. We deserve a way of life befitting people that have stood up for the freedoms of this country, not to be tossed to one side. That just isn't the way.
The Mansfield Charter has helped house 7 veterans but now needs funding to be able to continue.